Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
You have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to be considered worthy of joining the elite group of pro football best is beyond my expectation. But be assured, the honor and its true meaning will ever be treasured and its integrity protected. And also, it is known that you not honor individually, but those many people who made imprints on Bobby Bell and his athletic performance. There are many who left their signature on Bobby Bell and rightfully share this honor. As I said before, there are so many friends, teachers, coaches, teammates, friend like Joe McDuff, Kansas City Star editor, and the elected media that I have associated with in the past, and the writers, sports writers that's from the Pro Hall of Fame that selected me, and others who left their imprints on my personality and my athletic performance. I want all of them to share in this unforgettable experience and honor. Thank you.
"40 years ago." Well, with that, we'd like to welcome everybody here to Central High School in Kansas City for the first installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks for this school year. If it looks familiar, it sounds familiar, it is. We ended last school year right here in the same room we are today, and we thought, what a better storyline to kick off the next school year in the exact same room. Kansas City seems to be the mecca of pro football here the last couple of years. So we're super excited to be back here and hosting this program today with the Hall of Famer, as you saw there, sitting beside me, Mr. Bobby Bell. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I'll be moderating the session today. It's our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. These values that we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made this guy sitting here right beside me a great football player, a Hall of Fame level football player, but also made him a great person off the field and can make every student we have watching here today a great student. So I'm excited, and hopefully everybody here as well, to hear how these values impacted Mr. Bell's career, both on and off the field. And before we get started, I have some thank yous I'd like to pass out. As always, we'd like to thank our great partners at Extreme Networks for everything they do for us here for this program and for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Without their support, students all over the country would not get the opportunity like they have today. So thank you for your support. Secondly, I'd like to thank all the teachers, administrators, educators who allowed us to just be a small part of their learning experience this school year. And a special shout out to all the students and staff here at Central High School for allowing us to walk through their doors and do this program at their school. And then lastly, I have to thank our students. Without this program, without these students, this program doesn't happen. I have some questions prepared, but nobody wants to hear me ask all those questions. We want to hear some questions from the students. So students, be ready to ask your questions today. This program's here for you. It's not every day you get the chance to interact, talk to, hear from a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So if you're watching us on YouTube Live and you have a question, have a comment, go ahead and throw that there into the chat. We're watching that. Nathan's back at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, monitoring all of those. We try our best to get some of those questions into the program as well. And no matter where you're at today, take some pictures, share it on social media. We know you have it. Make sure you tag at Pro Football HOF and at Extreme Networks and use the hashtag HOF values. And your post just might be reshared here today from one of our great social media channels. So without further ado, I'd like to formally introduce our participant here for this program today, Hall of Famer Bobby Bell. Bobby, welcome to Central High School. Welcome to the program. We're happy to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I've been in Kansas City since 1963. So I've been here a couple of times at school here, and enjoy being here. When I first came to Kansas City, I made this my home, so I never left. So I've been here 60 years and made this my home. It's a real great city and great people, and we came a long ways. I mean, look at we won. I played in the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl, and fourth Super Bowl, and won that. And now we repeated in the last 3 years in the Super Bowl. So we're coming back, and man, what can you add? It's Kansas City Chiefs. Go Chiefs.
Well, before we dive into some of the things we want to talk about, I want to talk a little bit about what it feels like to be in that. Obviously, you come into the professional football realm and you have success right away. Super Bowl I, you're playing that, you win Super Bowl IV, and then you have to wait, 50 years?
50 years before we repeat it again. That's a long time.
To see the flows. What's that like to see the highest of highs right away? And then kind of that dip all the way to come back to where we are.
Well, I'm glad to see it come back. It took us 50 years to get back here. In fact, the first time we won the Super Bowl, I wanted to ride in the parade, and Coach Stram sent us to ride in the parade. And I told him when they won the Super Bowl then 50 years, and I told him I'm riding the parade if I had to take my golf cart. I'm riding in the parade. I didn't get a chance to do it.
That's cool. And it's cool to see that the team embraced. How cool is that for you as someone who played their career, all in Kansas City, to still be embraced by the team today? How's that?
Well, I've been with the Hunt organization for 60 years, since day one. I come down here in 1963, and it's like a part of the family. I remember when Lamar Hunt came to me in Minnesota and asked me, he said, I want you to be part of the family. So I've been part of the family, the Hunt family, in 60 years. And it's been like that way ever since. And anytime that we have players that come here from other schools, other places, and play here, and they go somewhere else, we got a lot of NFL players that moves back here and make this their home in Kansas City.
That's very cool. Very cool. So we mentioned those values at the beginning: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty. Of those 5 values, is there one that impacted you the most throughout your career, whether it be on or off the football field?
Well, the thing is, the values that, what football did for me, it opened the doors and gave me an opportunity to do a lot of different things. And that's what happened with football. A lot of people say, well, you can't get anything from it, but the guys that take the advantage of that playing football, and that's what I use for a stepping stone. And so I end up with great friends from playing football. And that playing football is not all there, but the thing is who you make friends with. choose the right kind of friends to be with. We choose the right kind of friends to run with. I learned my lesson in college. You want make sure you have a doctor that's a good friend to you, a lawyer, a dentist, a doctor, just people that you want to associate with, your bankers and all that stuff, that's your friend that you can call. And I made my situation is that I got great friends that's in there that I can call 24/7. That's what you want to do, your relationships.
So, talking about that and building relationships, obviously that happens in the locker room. You're around the same people pretty much every day of the year, sometimes more than your direct family. So what is it like to be in a situation like that, have such a close relationship, but then extend that outside of the complex or outside off the field into, everyday life?
The thing is, if you create friends with players, your buddies and stuff like that, I got a lot of great friends, but also in that, by playing the game of football, I got friends all over the country. I got Hall of Famers guys that I played against. I got guys that I played against that we are close friends. Although it's a game, we play the game, we got to win, we want to win. But after that, you're really friends, your buddies, because that's your livelihood. At that time, you play that, you become friends. That's what I enjoy. That by being in the Hall of Fame, I got to be in the Hall of Fame is where that you meet these guys that you played against. We all on the same team now. The gold jacket. We are on a team now. We can't be cut. We can't be traded. We're together. It's the same. We all made it to the Hall of Fame.
I think it's such a cool thing because you obviously have respect for your teammates. You have respect for people outside of the game of football. But when you all sit in that one room, literally the best 100+ football players of all football players' minds of all time, what is that level of respect like? And is there any instances where you kind of saw that, whether it's sitting around a table talking to somebody or whether somebody you just couldn't wait to meet and talk to once you got to that room?
Well, the thing is, we talked about is Ray Nitch's lunches. It's nobody's in this room for lunch but the Hall of Famers. We all sat around there and talked. We look across there, even the guys that you played against, the same position and all that stuff. Now we are one team together. We all going to be together. No one is better than no one else. That we all got that gold jacket. We all got that gold jacket. And that is something that someone can't take away from. And that's the big, you got to understand that, here, like this year, we talked about it, is that you're looking at a guy that came from a small town in Shelby, North Carolina, played 6-man football, 10,000 people in the town. And here I'm sitting in a room with like this year, we had about 126 guys, Hall of Famers, different breed from everywhere from all over the world, that I was there. If I look back, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, and look back and say, hey, would I ever be in this room? Is a possibility. It's always a possibility. So what you did, you take them steps. You do the right thing. Hey, you all can end up in the same room. That's what it's all about. The relationship, friendship. We all brothers. And I tell everybody in that room all the time, hey, guys, look around in the room. Tell your buddy you love him. You hope to see him next year. Because somewhere down the line that somebody's going to come up and just pass away. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. Just tell your buddy next to you, look over his shoulder and say, hey, I love you, man. Hope to see you next year. I hope to see you later on. That's what it's all about. I know the guys used to laugh about it. He said, oh man, come on. I remember this year we lost about 10 Hall of Famers.
Jim Brown? Jim Brown being one of them?
Tim Brown, yeah,
Jim Brown, yeah.
Dave Wilcox. I could name Bobby Mitchell, all these guys, friends. They come up, you're not gonna see them again. We'll meet them up there though. That's what life is, It can be long or short. You just want to be on the long stick of it.
We're in a school, so obviously we have to talk a little bit about school. Got a note here. You went back to school at the age of 74, 50 plus years after leaving colleges to complete the last 3 courses you needed for your degree.
Yeah.
Why was that important for you to do?
Well, it's important, when I left, you got to consider, I played 6-man football and nobody think I ended up going to Minnesota, University of Minnesota. In fact, another coach told another coach, say, hey, you take this guy. I ended up leaving 6-man football quarterback. And I played quarterback in Minnesota my freshman year. But I promised my dad, that I'll go to this school. It's a big school, stepping ground, never been on the plane before. End up in Minnesota. And I promised my dad I'll go and I'll be finished. But see, you got to understand, when I went to Minnesota, I went there because of Bobby Bell, my sister, brothers, my mom and dad, and all the people in Shelby, North Carolina. I was not going to mess up this. And I promised my dad I'd get my scholarship. I get that scholarship, I get my degree. And when it happened, and when I got to Minnesota my senior year, I ended up playing with the Chiefs. I ended up playing in a lot of stuff. I got a job working for General Motors full-time while I was playing. And I likened 3 credits to get my degree. And that only reason I didn't get that is because it was during this football season that they owners have that subject, that quarter. And my coach said I couldn't miss practices to take that course. So I just started working, played football 13, and it kept going. And in my man cave, I got all kinds of stuff on the wall, everything on the wall. And one day I told my wife, I said, hey, something is missing. I promised my dad I'll get my degree. So I went back to Minnesota, I called him up and told him, I said, I need to get my degree and I want to find out what I have to do to get it. And they looked at it, it took them a month to figure it out, because everything's in pencil, it's been so long, So what happened is that they came back and said, oh my gosh, you said you'd like in 3 credits on this subject, you can get your degree. And I said, well, that's what I'm gonna do. And the thing is about the University of Minnesota is that they wouldn't let me pay for it. I had to go back that 1 quarter. So I ended up taking 13 credits that year. I mean, that time, that semester, and I made the dean list.
Right.
I never made the dean list, but I did make the dean list because I took some extra credit. And when I walked across the stage, because I told the president of the Minnesota that I wasn't going to walk. I just needed my degree because I promised my dad. And he told me, no, you got to walk. And I did. I said, okay. I went back. At that time, I got more PR from that than I planned for football because I had 40 or 50 some people from all over the country came up and videoed this. And when I walked across the stage, I got a standing ovation right there. It took me 10 minutes to get across the stage. That was the top of my pyramid right there, guys. He said, sure. And I looked up, my dad gave me a gold Boulevard watch. And I wore that across and run. He said, I'm sending you to school up there and I'm giving you the watch. You be on time and don't mess up the Bell's name. I promise you that. And I walked across the stage. That was the top of my pyramid right there, guys. Is that I promised my dad and I got it at 74. And I got calls from all over the country, all over the world. And I have other football players that didn't get the degrees and stuff like that. They said they're going back and get the degree.
Very cool. Very cool. That's an awesome story. So I think it's a great way to segue into some questions from our students right here in front of us at Central. So if you got a question on old school, whoever shoots their hands up first, go ahead and get the question. So if you have one, raise your hand and we'll go ahead and take it. Go ahead. So in moments of adversity, what did you use to overcome that adversity?
Well, it's my heart, work habits, things that I looked at when I was back in North Carolina. You have to understand that when I was in North Carolina, everything is segregated. Everything was segregated. I couldn't go to a white school. It was all black school. I couldn't eat in certain restaurants. I couldn't, stay in certain hotel. I went through all that stuff. And for me to go to Minnesota is that my dad told me, said, son, you can do it. I always asked him, can I ever go into a big restaurant? Can I ever go around the world to see? He said, yes, you can do it. He always said that. He said, you can do it. Although I did play there in Minnesota and Shelby, North Carolina, in small school, but he always said, you can do it, son. And when I left North Carolina, Shelby, North Carolina, got on the plane for the first time, he told me, he said, son, if you want to see the world at that time, that was in 1958. He said, you need not to come back here if you want to see the world until everything's straightened out. And that's what drove me, is that I could not let my mom, my dad, my sister down. Whatever I put my mind to, I could do it. I can do them things. So don't feel like you lack. The other thing is, like, I wanted to play football and I wanted to play baseball, but when I went to Minnesota, I was a quarterback. Can you imagine? When I didn't have black quarterbacks playing. They didn't have them. You couldn't play. And I had to overcome all that stuff, But I did by the drive. Don't let someone pull you down and say, hey, you can't do that because you're this. You're this color, you can't do that, you can't do that. But you can do it. Do the right thing. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people the way you want to be treated, whether they're white or black. It'll come around.
I think that's great. Obviously you focus on things that you have gone through to get to where you are today. And I would probably don't want to speak for you, but I say if that made you the person you are today and going through those things made you the not only the Hall of Fame football player that you are, but the Hall of Fame person that you are outside the game as well.
Outside the game. Oh yeah. It drove me. I mean, it's personality and all that stuff. Hey, that's what it is. And I got friends all over, white or black, they got friends because of that, the personality and all that stuff to take care of.
So one thing we like to do during this program is, we are the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So we do like to showcase what we do at the Hall of Fame. At the core of what we do, we are a museum. You heard it in our mission statement there. We preserve the history of the greatest to ever play the game, Hall of Famers, things in the NFL. We preserve that. So we like to showcase that a little bit. So we thought, what better way to do that than go to one of the greatest places inside the museum, our Hall of Fame gallery, where we have the director of Youth Education and Leadership, Jerry Shockey, there in front of something that's going to look awfully familiar to you. So Jerry, whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right, Jake, you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, Jake, good to see you, my friend. Bobby, good to see you as well, my friend.
Good to see you
as well. So I'm excited to be here today in the Hall of Fame gallery. I mean, just think of this just for a second. Okay, since the game has been played at all levels throughout history, there have been over 300 million people that have played. In college, you'd say roughly around 5 million have played at the collegiate level, have played football. At the professional level, there have been about 29,000 that have been paid to play, coach, or officiate the game. There are only 371 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And one of those folks behind me is who is standing in front of you or sitting in front of you, talking to you today about what life lessons, things like that, Mr. Bobby Bell. And so I've got a question, and it kind of piggybacks on what you were just talking about, Bobby, about just what you had to go through in the late 50s, early 60s. These young people also probably don't know the place that the Kansas City Chiefs played in a role when I talk about the integration of the game of football, and especially the AFL. Can you talk about some of those things and talk about what the Hunt family meant, and just the teamwork, the unity, what football innately teaches us about loving each other and loving each other in our differences?
All right. I mean, I tell this all the time. Like I said, I've been with the Hunt family for 60 years. And I tell people that Lamar Hunt started the AFL. If it wasn't for him starting the AFL, I don't think football would be where it is today. And the reason that is because when he started the new league, everybody was telling him, where are you going to get the players? And that's when the AFL went out and went to the Black University and recruited players to come in and play. And that's what happened when I hit 1963 in Kansas City. We had a lot of Black players that came from Prairie, Morgan. It just unbelievable. Players that want to come. They saw the Kansas City Chiefs had so many Black players on it that was playing in football. At one time in the NFL, I think it was like the average maybe 2 or 3 Blacks that played on a team. That was all. And they had special positions. You couldn't play quarterback. You couldn't play linebacker. They made them Black player was a running back or receiver basically. That's what it was. When I got in the league in 1963, and I said to people all the time, if Lamar had not started the AFL, I don't think football would be where it is today, because it gave us Black people opportunity to play the game of football.
Very, very important for sure.
And I think that when you think about that, I mean, there's historically now, if you talk about the 371 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, almost 10% of our Hall of Famers come from HBCUs, what we refer to as historically Black college universities. And so Lamar was one of the first to target, as you said, Bobby, HBCUs, and let's just bring in the best players, which is how we should look at everything in life. Who's the best person for the position? If so, whatever color, whatever anything else, those things that don't matter. It's who's the best for the position. And so, Bobby, anything else you'd like to share just about what football has taught you and what kind of that time period in your life and history, overcoming some of those obstacles, what it taught you about perseverance and grit and kind of what you've already touched on, just how those don't set limitations, whether it's based on skin color or anything else.
Well, the thing is, I had to make some changes, because I came from the South, and people don't realize I rode in the back of the bus, and I had to, you drink out of the Black fountain, you got to go to the different bathroom, color bathroom, stuff like that. I had to overcome all that stuff, because when I got to Minnesota, it wasn't like that. In the whole state of Minnesota, it was like 2% Black in the whole state. I might walk around campus and the only Black people I saw was the players that played. And then next thing I see maybe once in a while you run some guys from Africa doing degrees. But other than that, I had to overcome all that stuff. I had to learn a different thing from a program from North Carolina to Minnesota. I had to learn how to deal with that, because I never seen that before. And that's what drove me, is that I want to see the world. And I end up seeing the world because I got to friends with different people all over the world. Is that like Bob Hope got me involved with the USO show. My sophomore year in college, he told me. And because I was on the All-American teams and he hosted Johnny Carson and Ed Sullivan show, we got to be friends. He got me involved. And the last time I did a USO show was last week. I've been doing them. I was my first show was in Vietnam, 1968. In fact, I carried a card with me. My rank is Colonel, Major through Colonel. I carry it with me all the time, 24/7. It's in my billfold. And I had to overcome a lot of stuff. And because I was Black, I had to go through different things. And like last week, I spoke at my class reunion. In my class with 26 people in my graduating class, and my whole school in North Carolina was 168 from first grade to 12th grade. That's where I came from. And now I walk into that town. They got my name Bobby Bell Boulevard, pavilion. They got it up the courthouse square. They got a big old pavilion, Bobby Bell. I mean, anywhere. They introduced me at the college, at the high school last week that won after they once they all let the black and white school, they went together, they won 18 championships in a row. Wow. It's unreal. And they introduced me at the halftime at the high school last week, and everybody just go, oh my gosh. I walk through the town, they know me. I can walk anywhere, do anything I want to. I overcome all that, And everybody used to tell you'll never make it. You would never make it if you went to University of Minnesota. They won't recognize you, become a number. No, take your phone out, punch Bobby in there, Bobby Bell in. If I don't pop up, you don't use your phone. I'd be walking through the airports and stuff. And somebody say, I think that's Bobby Bell. And next thing you know, somebody come up with their phone and go, hey man, I see you right here. I didn't want to be just a number. Bobby Bell. I travel all over the place, And that's what I like to do. I like to meet and greet people. I treat people the way I want to be treated. And that's how I got here.
All right, one last question, Bobby, and this is one of my favorites for you. How many quarters have you snatched out of kids' hands this morning?
They don't have no money. I already took one. Oh, yeah, you don't tell them there, because I was going to try to get some more money.
Appreciate it, Bobby. Jake, I'll send it back to you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Yeah, if we don't know, we did a little game here this morning. It was pretty cool to sit back and watch. So we're gonna jump into some more questions. We got our next one we're going to go to is Impact Academy. So students there at Impact Academy, go ahead and step up to the microphone. Once you're there, go ahead and unmute, state your name, the grade you're in, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Katavion. I am 14 years old.
Here, step over there so you can.
And I have a question for you. What's your favorite movie?
What's your favorite movie?
I don't know if I got a favorite movie. John Wayne.
I like John Wayne.
I love John Wayne, all his movies.
Awesome. That's a very, very, very good answer. I got another question here coming from a school that's viewing us only on YouTube. It's from Ravenna High School back in Northeast Ohio. What was the hardest thing to overcome either mentally or physically during your football career?
Well, I think it was segregation. Not being treated like like you're supposed to be treated in North Carolina, like a human being. They looked at you like down, and I had to overcome that when I went to University of Minnesota, is that I had to be careful. I was scared to talk to people, thought I'd get the wrong thing, that was the hardest thing, being myself. I want to be myself like everybody else. Treat me the way everybody else has been treated.
So obviously you've told everybody to look on their phone, see who Bobby Bell is, and I'm sure all these awards and accomplishments are going to come up. But besides being selected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment?
Wow. One of them is that going back to school, get my degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the top of my pyramid, The other stuff, you can do it. At one time, I was a better baseball player. I could have played baseball with the White Sox. They wanted to take me in and play baseball. And when I told my dad, I went home and told my dad I can play baseball, go play baseball. He said, and I can help the family. My dad told me, he said, we don't need no help. We don't need no help. He said, son, if you go play baseball, you want to go back to school. You said you want to go to school and get a degree. You won't do that. And I made a decision not to do it. And I went to college. And I'm glad I did. It's one thing you don't do is that if you're looking over your shoulder, that means you've been doing something wrong. You don't have no direction. Because you do something, you're always looking, you're walking, My dad always told me, he said, hey, son, when you do the right thing, you don't have to worry about it. Don't look over your shoulder.
All right, we got some other awesome schools connected in. So we're going to go out to North Ridgeville Academic Center for our next question. So our folks there at North Ridgeville, go ahead and step up to the mic. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Student, state your name, and then go ahead with your question.
Hi, I'm Marla Mawson I'm in 7th grade, and thanks for having us. And my question is, what was the most difficult part of your career in general, and how did it influence your life?
Most difficult part of your career?
The most difficult? Well, the most difficult was, was when I left my family. That's the first time I've never been with my family for Christmas. For Christmas, I had to miss the first Christmas, and being away from my family, I missed that. And when I went to Minnesota, it was so far, And another thing is that I didn't get an opportunity to see them like every day and on a holiday and stuff like that. I could not rely on asking my dad every minute, is I'm doing the right thing. That's one of the things I kind of miss. And it was very difficult, and I had to overcome that.
You've mentioned your coach, Hank Stram, a few times now. He was quoted saying he could play, he being you, could play all 22 positions on the field and play them well. Coming from a guy like Hank Stram, someone you have a tremendous amount of respect for, what does that mean? And do you think you really have taken snaps from Len Dawson?
Well, a lot of people didn't realize that, but like I said before, I was a quarterback. And when I ended up playing quarterback at the University of Minnesota, I was my freshman year, I was a black quarterback playing there too. And Sandy Stevens was a black quarterback. He was the first All-American. But when I got to Minnesota, that's what the position I played. And I did not want to go back home. If the coach came in one day and told me he's going to switch me to offensive tackle, and I told him, I said, hey, coach, I'm not want to go home. So I said, you give me somebody to coach me. If you coach me, I'll play any position. I ended up playing tackle, defensive end, and center. I played that. In my sophomore year, I played tackle, and I recruited Carl Elder up there also. And what happened is that I played it. I was going to start. I didn't want to play on the 5th team or something like that. When I played tackle, I fought my way up. I played any position because I did not want to go back home to tell my parents that I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it. That was a failure. And I did not want to be a failure. And that's why I also went back and got my degree. I promise, I do not want to be a failure. If somebody told me I couldn't do something and I look at it and say, hey, I can do it, do it. The coach tell you to change position or something like that. Hey, change position and do it. Let them coach it if you can coach.
All right, we got one more school we'd like to get out to here before we wrap up the program. So we're going to send it out to the Independence Charter Academy for another question from our students. We got tuned in remotely today, and we thank for all of those students who did tune in today. So everybody out there at Independence Charter, go ahead and have your students step up to the microphone, unmute, and then students go ahead with your question. All right. Independence Charter, you guys there?
Yes, we are, but we're a remote school, so I'm not sure they're not in the classroom.
Okay. All right. Well, if they do get some questions that come in, we'll make sure we try our best to get them in there. But while we wait for that, another question I have here for you. We always like to ask, we know what happened at the end of the career. We saw your enshrinement speech, kind of the culmination of your football career. But I want to talk about that first moment. You get to the NFL. What was your welcome to the NFL moment when you finally had to step back and go, all right, I made it? Was there a play? Was you lining up from an idol you grew up watching? Was there a moment with a teammate? What was that moment for you?
Well, first thing, I had no idea that I could make it in the NFL because at that time, they didn't have that many black players playing in the NFL. And the other thing is that when I got through college, all I wanted to do was get my degree and go back down south and open up parts for Black people, families and stuff like that, And next thing I know, I get drafted by the NFL, second round with the Minnesota Vikings, seventh round with the Chiefs, where at that time it was Dallas, Texas, And I had no idea that I could play the NFL. So when I got in the NFL, I go, wow, look what I did here, Not really realizing that it's not that many Blacks that played in the NFL in 1963. And I said, well, let's take this and run. But see, that's when I end up with Lamar Hunt, and I say, hey, now I want to play in this game. I want to be the best. I want to be the best, and that's what I wanted to do. If you're not playing to be the best at your position or to be the best on the team, you're not producing for the team. And that's the way I treated it, is that when I walked on the field, I wanted to be the number one guy, the best guy. Don't do anything halfway. I want to do it 100%. Everything's got to be 110, 110. And that's where I treated life, everything. And that's where I treated football.
All right, we're going to take another question from our students right here at Central. So whoever's got the next question, go ahead, raise your hand, and then go ahead with your question. Go ahead.
Throughout your career, what role did discipline play in your success, both in and out of the field?
So what role did discipline play in your success, whether it be on or off the field? That's a great question.
Good question. But, like I said before, whatever you do, you want to be the best at it. It doesn't matter whether it was playing football or working at a job or something like that. I worked full time at General Motors. I want to be the number one guy in the labor relations department. What did that get me? It got me an opportunity to get a promotion to Detroit. I turned it down because I had to turn it down. They wanted me to go to Detroit. Whatever you put your hands on, whatever you decide you want to make up your mind what you want to do, you want to be the best. Same way when I got to the football, I wanted to be the best. What did it get me? The gold jacket. That's what it got me. Not realizing that if you play the game the way you wanted to, like I wanted to play it, to be the best, had no idea I ended up with the gold jacket. And that's what I try to tell the guys at the Hall of Fame in the thing. Had no idea I played six-man football, quarterback. Look around now. Look around. The Super Bowl this year. I told people, I've been to every Super Bowl game. I've been to every Super Bowl, played in the first and in the fourth, and went to try it. This year I sat out in the stand, watched two teams go at it. Guess what it was, what stuck out in my mind? I saw two Black quarterbacks play in the Super Bowl, and which I said to him, I said, whoever wins this game is going to be the VIP. The other quarterback, this quarterback, hey, Patrick, whoever won the game. How close was it? One field goal. And everybody said, well, what about the Super Bowl? I said, Super Bowl? I said, I thought it was the best one. I had an opportunity, I'm 83 years old, to see two Black quarterbacks play in a game, the number one game in the country, the best, the biggest game. That's what I saw. And, not put anything. I said, now everybody look around and say, oh man, we're trying to find a white quarterback now. And everybody's got a Black quarterback. The game have changed. And it gave us an opportunity to participate in one of the biggest games in the world.
Awesome. That's a great question. I got another question coming from online here. A little similar to our movie question. Do you like video games? And then second, have you ever seen yourself as one of the legends you can play with on Madden?
I
And to all the kids out there, should they get you on their team?
yeah, oh yeah, they got to get me on. I'm on John Madden. I was on John Madden. In fact, John Madden has become a good friend. I got to know John. He's, God Almighty, heck of coach. I loved it, loved it. Yeah, because hey, you're getting Bobby Bell. You're getting the best, and he likes to win. Bobby Bell likes to win. And I have walked through a lot of places, got kids coming. I got you on my game. I got you. You play for me. John Madden. Love it. No, I like to win.
Very cool. Another question here. Something many people probably don't know about you, and I didn't know this either.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
It's not good. It's okay.
Not good?
No, it's good. It's good. I promise. Is that you were regarded as one of the greatest long snappers in history, and you talked about I'll play any position. I just watched a thing online. Bill Belichick got asked about long snappers and why do they need to take up a roster spot, and he went 10 minutes about talking why long snappers are important. So was it something you took pride in, being one of the best in a position that some people don't know a lot about?
The thing I tell I don't care what position it is. I started at quarter. Can you imagine? You got some quarterback, you ask them, can you play in another position? They said, nah, I'm a quarterback. That's it. I don't play nothing there. I'll play any position. Kansas City Chiefs has the only team that has a Hall of Famer holder, a Hall of Famer kicker, and a Hall of Fame snapper, center. I snapped the ball on field goals and extra points. And you know something? A lot of people didn't find out until later. I mean, like 20 years later, that I was a center at the time for Jan Cinero and Lenny Dawson. That's it. I was the best. Boom. And I still can do it. I'm 83. My son, one day we was out in the backyard at the golf course, and the neighbor said, we were throwing the football. And the neighbor said, hey, I want to know if you can snap the ball between your legs again. I said, yeah. I'm 74 years old. I said, yeah. I turned around, shot it. It's a bullet. And the guy goes, wow. One of these days I might go back and play for the Chief for one time, just one time, just to go out and snap the ball and run off the field. Because right now, at the time I was playing, they used to double up on me with the center, and they put two guys and try to put my helmet and my head back in my helmet when I snapped the ball, because I didn't weigh but 220 pounds. I played at 220. People thought I weighed 235 or 240. And I'm 10 pounds now, lighter than I played. So, yeah, I played center. Good bullets.
That's what you need.
Bullets.
We're gonna talk a little bit here before we wrap up, obviously, the Chiefs team today. But first, looking at the game as a whole, positions that you played on defense, is there a player out there that excites you that you see a little bit of that Bobby Bell in that plays in today's game? Is there a player out there that you see that in
right now? Well, now they move guys around, because when I was playing linebacker, I was a defensive end, and Coach Stram used to pull me out of the line and say, I want you to be the linebacker. The fourth linebacker, I pull out, move over, so, and I played the linebacker. Also was a cornerback. I played corner. I cover guys one-on-one, because at that time I was probably the fastest guy. I don't know. I can't. I look at the game totally different. I couldn't pick a guy out right now that's let's say a linebacker, because now they got defensive backs playing.
Yeah.
Everybody plays now, so I can't pick out a guy right now.
So let's talk about your Kansas City Chiefs here. Obviously, kicking off the NFL season tonight against the Detroit Lions, starting our new NFL season, which I think should be a national holiday. But we're here in Kansas City celebrating that. What excites you about this team? Obviously, coming off a Super Bowl win, what excites you this year, and how can Kansas City back that performance up that they had last year?
Well, you know, I'm looking at the roster right now. I think Kansas City probably got some of the best players this year than they did have last year because they had a lot of freshmen last year that played. They said they weren't going to be able to play. You got, I bet you 3, 4 guys, a freshman last year played in the Super Bowl. Now they brought them back. So that made them, this year is better because they got 1 year under their belt. And everybody thinks that because the Chiefs last year lost Hill is a receiver, that we weren't going to make it anymore. We lost one our number one guy. But what happened is that Coach Reed and Patrick and them, they spread the offense out now. Now every guy had to step up. So instead of going, they get double team Hill because he's not there. Then the other rookies out there for playing, making a name for themselves. So now I think they got a better team on paper than they did have last year. And I'm telling you, every year that when you win a Super Bowl, the next year, every team is playing against you to beat you. The worst team wants to beat you because they want to say that they beat the Super Bowl team. So now they got to play every game like they're playing a Super Bowl. It makes it harder. It's taking it harder because every game you got to come up and play. Because tonight, Detroit, I don't know. I tell you, Detroit and might meet Kansas City in the Super Bowl. That's how good they are. Detroit have not made it in a long time. You know, they got their hands full tonight because I think Detroit's got a great team.
We'll wrap up. We'll get to tonight's prediction before we finish out. But I want to talk a little bit about the comparison because obviously you played for Hank Stram, had Len Dawson, a Hall of Fame quarterback. Both those individuals are in the Hall of Fame. You had those two people on your team. You look at the team today with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. Do you see any comparisons between the leadership styles of Stram and Dawson now that you see with Coach Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
I see the same thing, yeah. I think that, you know, Coach Reid is giving Patrick the leadway, just like Coach Stram did to Lenny Dawson. I mean, I can see the Samuels right there. They both, and hey, man, thumbs up on both these guys, you know. Hey, we do have a great team. And Patrick, you know, is unbelievable. He has changed, he had changed a lot of quarterbacks. We've got a lot of them coming out now.
It's going to come out on top.
Well, I feel the Chiefs are going to come out on top. You know, I don't know. I think it's going to be. It'll probably be like 30-33 Chiefs.
Heard it here first. Last question we have for you today, and then we'll wrap up. So first off, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today, representing the Hall of Fame, answering questions from our students, speaking with them, giving them all this wisdom. But saying that, if there's one thing, one item, one nugget of information you want the students here watching, the students we have online, all of us back at the Hall of Fame, what's that one piece of information you want us to take away from today?
Well, one thing is that, hey, treat people the way you want to be treated. You know, life is out there, you know, and hey, don't be walking around looking over your shoulder. Make the right choices in life. Make sure that you have friends, you hang with the right people. Pick your friends that you want to hang with. Make sure you make the right choice. Before you open your mouth, make sure your brain's in gear, boy, before you open and say something to me. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And hey, the sky, the world is yours, in your hand. Don't be walking around here thinking that you're going to get a shortcut. Anytime in your life that you get something that's free, something that's easy, you won't hold on to it. If you work hard for everything you do and try to be the number one guy, number one thing, you won't give it up. I never would give up something. If I had to get something comes easy, you know, you have it. if I gave you $1 million, and if you don't know how to budget $100, that $1 million gone. That's the problem that we have. Make sure you pick the right people and your right friends, and make the right choices in life, guys. Because when you, like I said, make sure your brain's in gear before you open your mouth and say something or mistreat somebody, because they'll come back and haunt you.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up the first program of the year. This installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, connected by Extreme Networks, featuring class of 1983 member Mr. Bobby Bell. Let's give Bobby a big round of applause for being here today, talking with all of us. Bobby, thank you so much for being a part of the program. Truly, thank you for everything you've done for the game of football and what you do for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I always like to say what we do at the Hall of Fame and the game of football would not be the same without your impact. So thank you for everything you've done for the game. Thank you for everything you do for us at the Hall of Fame and will continue to do, especially being a part of the program today.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm glad to be here and have the opportunity to visit with some of the kids around. And this is what I like to do, is give back, talk to you. If you got any question, you know, you be free to call me and ask me and tell me. That's what I'm here for.
All right, with that, let's give Bobby one last round of applause. Everybody who tuned in today, thank you so much. We hope you will see you for another program. That's all for us here in Kansas City. We hope to see you next time. Thank you, everybody.